What is going on, you Savage Welcome Show? I'm excited to get into today. Real quick, head to teardownapparel.com, head to traviscrutcher.com, head to thealphainitiative.com. Those links are in the description. I'm going to now shut up so I can thereby talk some more.
Welcome to Not Sorry with Travis Crutcher, the show where Travis will say some things that might trigger you, offend you, make you laugh, or even motivate you. So, if you're not easily offended, stick around and enjoy. On the other hand, if you are easily offended, listen anyway. Then go tell everyone how triggered you were. Either way, you can be certain of one thing. Travis is not sorry.
All right, here we go. So today I want to talk about, it's weird. It's like, it's always this swirl, right? And it seems like what I'm speaking with clients about just, it turns into a theme. And this is another one of those cases where over the last couple of weeks, this theme has just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And that is the theme of comparison. And I know I've talked about it in other spaces before, and I've talked about it in other episodes with, on Tear It Down and whatnot. We've talked about comparison, but this time I'm going to take a little bit different tact. Because it's always been under the pretense of like, don't worry about them, right? Like the conventional guidance of stay in your lane and don't let other things distract you from going after what it is you want to go after. And I still believe in that, right? But today I want to talk about something just slightly different. And that is, who fucking cares what they're doing, right? Like, I'll give you an example. When I first started my business, first started putting out content, I'll be honest, like it looked a lot different than what I do now. I've changed quite a bit over the last 4 years of the business. But what I will say is that there's going to be haters, right? There's going to be people who shit on what you're doing, no matter what it is you're doing, right? You could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Someone's going to shit on how you do what you do. And I remember when I first started, like I would get this negative feedback and I would let it affect me. Not to the point where I'd stop doing it, but I would really start second guessing some things, right? And I would go, oh shit, am I doing it the right way? And so over here is doing it this way. Maybe I should tweak it. Maybe I should do it a little bit differently. And I remember there was a time where I had a partner and we were doing some stuff together, and his approach was much different than my approach, right? When we first started out, it was like this marrying of styles, right? Because I was more aggressive and he was a little more, a little more khaki, right? Just a different approach. And the more we worked together, and I was getting some feedback about, oh, you're too abrasive, you're too aggressive, and I don't appreciate the profanity. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll tweak it, right? Maybe I'll start doing it a little differently, do it the other way and see what happens. And I can tell you, like, it fucking sucked, to be honest with you. Like, it felt very disingenuous. My engagement for my ideal client, like the audience I wanted to reach, kind of dropped off, and it felt gross. Like I didn't feel like me. And so that was a real turning point for me, to go back to doing what I do and how I do it. And that wasn't the only time, right? So, what I'm getting at is don't jive up what you're doing versus how someone else is doing it. The other thing is take criticism for what it's worth. I mean, look, I'm going to be real with you. There are people whose lives are only bettered every day because they get up and shit on what someone else is doing. It's sad, but it's true. And don't jive up what someone says to you with how you should feel about what you're doing, right? What I like to do is I like to look at the person. And oftentimes you'll find people who have shitty things to say to you on social or on the internet, period. You'll never find the person behind it because it's just some fucking troll who's there to get a brief dopamine hit by making someone else feel shitty. Like they're just trying to make themselves feel better. Because the truth, quite honestly, is they're probably a fucking loser, right? They're probably in their mom's basement surrounded by 15 cats eating pizza rolls and wondering why their face acne won't clear up, right? And that's just being real. But if you can find the person and they have something, some criticism for you, jive up if that person is the type of person you even want to be. Is that even the kind of people you would want to fucking talk to, right? And I remember, when I published my first book, I had some people reach out and go, I didn't like it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, got it. Don't truly fucking care if you liked it or not, right? Because it clearly wasn't for you, number one. And number two is, there were some people, there's always going to be someone who's got some real critical shit to say to you, right? And people are like, oh, I thought you should have done this, or I thought you should have done that. And I remember like, this was another light bulb moment for me, another aha moment. When I was listening, right, and I was reading the criticism and I was taking it for what it was worth, and I remember stopping and going, oh, well, how did you do it in your book? Right? And then I started to apply it to everything. People don't like my videos. Okay, well, how is it on your fucking channels, right? How is it on your YouTube channel? What do you do over there? Or, oh, really? You don't like this episode of the podcast? Well, what's your podcast about? Right? I didn't like your keynote. What was your keynote about? When did you get paid to come speak? Well, fucking never, right? And it sounds shitty. It sounds like an asshole way of looking at things, but the reality is like, that's the way you've got to look at it, because you're not trying to compete with people who aren't doing what you're doing. You're not trying to compete with anybody. And here's the thing with comparison. The reality is you're only in competition with yourself. And so if you've got a way of doing things, if you've got a mode of operation that you like to do things in, and it's successful for you, and you're reaching the people you want to reach, then who gives a fuck about the other people? And apply this to everything, right? Like if you're a parent and people are like, I don't like the way that you talk to your kids. Okay, well, Spock, fucking how are your kids, right? How are your kids shaking out? What does your family unit look like? You know, it's funny because ours is the house still that has dinner together every night. And our kids' friends are like, that's fucking weird. Like, oh, really? Really? Okay, how is the dynamic in your house? How honest is everyone? How forthcoming are they with information? How much do people share? How much do people know that they're fucking loved? No, not at all? Well, I don't give a fuck if you think it's weird, right? So that's what I want you to take away from today when we talk about comparison is don't give a shit. Don't care about what someone else thinks about what you're doing or how you're doing it, because if it's not how you want to do things and they're not reaching the people you want to reach and they don't have the fucking kind of life you want to have, who gives a fuck? The truth of the matter is this. Instagram, social media, all of it, it's a fucking game, right? It's a game. I'll tell you straight up. I use them because it's a game, right? Like there's thought that goes into this. Life doesn't exist in perfectly curated 1-inch fucking squares, okay? That's not how it is. These are the highlight reels. And sometimes they're completely fabricated highlight reels. How many people have seen the I'm crying picture? Really? Who took that? You fucking took that. That's probably not even the first take of that photo. It's bullshit. So if you're comparing yourself to that, you're missing it. You're missing it because that's not real. Okay? So stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop comparing how you do what you do to how other people do what they do, because you're not the same. You're unique. And the reality is only you can reach the people you can reach. And only you are going to have the impact that you can have. So don't jive you up against anyone else. Go do your thing and fucking kick ass. That's it. Hope you dug it. Hope you took something away from it. And I'll talk to you next time. Later.
Thank you.